is going on, everybody? Welcome in to the North End Podcast, episode 312. My name is Zach Graham, your host here in the North End, joined, as always, by my good buddy. He's on record as my best friend. His name is Ian Michaud, and we call him... Sitting here on a Sunday, beautiful Austin, Texas, getting ready to head up to Palmer Field to check out the second team here against LAFC 2 on Sunday evening. Little podcast to record here before we head up there. How you feeling, my friend?
I'm doing well, man. Definitely excited to get up to see the FC Toe boys. Obviously, they're on fire right now. Cannot wait to see this team up close and personal. Hurting a little bit. You know, we did the old volleyball charity game thing yesterday. We did not participate. We're hurt because we were drinking. But that was fun. Shout out Monica and AG for setting that up. That was a really good time. But excited to fucking go see FC Toe, man. Like, that's really what it boils down to here for me.
Yeah, man. And look.
Seeing Austin win?
Seeing all win because, I got Spurs in 5, so hopefully that does not come back to bite me.
I like this.
I need a win right now, brother.
Yeah, no, you're hurting right now. Fuck, man. You were going to the Spurs for your win fix, and now we're sitting here down 0-2. I'm shocked about it. Yeah. And look, we don't need to get into all of the reasons why this is going wrong right now, but Knicks are hot. Yeah.
Knicks are hot.
Team of destiny.
Well, that's about hopefully all the NBA talk we'll do mercifully today for me and all the other Spurs fans here in the mix. Some international results and maybe some news here to talk about and some Austin FC-centric tidbits. And then, we have who we teased at the end of last week's episode, Adrian, Healey, and Coach Nick Cowell stopping by today to talk a little Austin FC, to talk a little Beyond the Touchline, their new-ish podcast that they've got going on, which has been great, and, of course, previewing a little bit of the World Cup action, and Adrian and Coach participating in our draft challenge, which we can talk about in a minute. But before we get to the rest of the episode, just want to remind everybody, as we always do, that you can support the show financially for free just by downloading the audio versions of our episodes wherever you get your podcasts. You can toggle on auto downloads. That'll support the show going forward. You won't have to think about it again. You can go the extra mile, rate and review the show wherever you get your podcasts. And, of course, if you are watching on the YouTube channel, hitting that subscribe button does help us grow the show. You can hit the notification bell to know when a live stream pops up or a new episode goes live, of course, here in episode 312. Hit the thumbs up, like the video, help us battle the YouTube algorithm overlords, atone for your sins. Wash yourselves clean in the waters of the North End. So, mentioning that World Cup Draft Challenge, we're going to go ahead and put that QR code on the screen. That QR code will take you to our sign-up page for Patreon memberships here in the North End, because all of our Patreon members, are eligible to sign up and participate in our World Cup Draft Challenge, which we are actually going to conduct our own draft, like I mentioned, with Adrian and Coach here in a little bit. But we've already got a number of members joined up for this. I think we have 7 leagues right now, or drafts rather. We've got members. Shout out to Ariaga too, right? Our friend Alex there, who has a scoreboard in the works that I think our members don't know about quite yet, but that's going to elevate this little competition that we've got going on here this summer, even that little bit more. So it's been a blast so far. We had a blast drafting. Maybe not a blast, because drafting against 2 guys who really know their stuff here on the episode. But it's been fun so far. So if you want to not just join the Patreon, right, all of the things that come along with that here in the North End, it will also get you access to our draft challenge. The winner is going to receive a Rooted kit here, right? So that is the newest Austin FC kit. Although not for long, which we'll talk about here in a moment. But draft challenge, if you want to sign up, QR code to join the Patreon on the screen right now, link in the description of the video and audio versions of this episode. And if you're already a member and you haven't gotten in and you want to play, all you got to do is jump in that Discord. We are registering groups through Tuesday night here with the World Cup kicking off on Thursday. So, anything else for you on that?
I mean, the draft is fun, y'all. Not a whole lot of work. You just got to get your 10 teams there and then just let it go and be able to enjoy the cup and watch that stuff. But yeah, it was a really good time. When did we first do one of these?
It was
Euros or something.
We definitely did Euros. I think we did Copa America too, just like with some of our friends and stuff. But yeah, bringing it to the Patreon and having the huge scoreboard here. We're gonna have, looks like right around 30 teams, maybe a handful north of that.
Nice.
Definitely looking forward to it. And again, after our draft, I don't know about my shot at taking home the jersey. I don't think it's too high looking at my team. But
oh, really?
We'll see, man.
Okay. I was just gonna say, I could use another rooted jersey, so
okay.
I will not. He will not get a refund if I win. I'll tell that. Get that out of the way now. Don't even ask me.
Yeah. Well, speaking of jerseys here, we heard right from Verde All Day's emergency podcast a few weeks ago that the third kit, right, that we knew was coming at some point this year from Adidas, that would be released in August. Shortly thereafter, multiple people had told us that this was going to be a purple jersey. Then Verde All Day confirmed that, not only that it's going to be this purple violet color, but some other details that then the boys at We Are Austin TV took those details and put them into a little AI machine here. And so we've got a little AI rendering of what this jersey could look like, right? So what you're seeing on the screen right now, or if, right, of course you're following We Are Austin TV. If you're an Austin fan, you see what they posted here. So light purple or violet base, right? The horizontal chest stripe, which is supposed to be white there with Austin across the front on that white stripe. They've got the secondary crest, right? Kind of what you see on the, what was the kit? Well, we had it on the Dillo, right? We have it on the rooted, that secondary, just the tree, right? And a white collar on it. So like this doesn't look too dissimilar style wise from that No Comply kit that, right, was never worn by the team, but of course was a piece of merchandise that the fans could buy. And like, that's one of my favorite kits. If you can include that in the list. And I don't know, man, I know there's mixed reviews about every jersey concept that gets released. And of course, this is just a mock-up, but if it's anything like this, I like it. And I've seen some people say it's maybe a little boring. I think that's fine on your first go round with a purple tertiary kit here, because if this is going to be our third look here, right, going forward with any sort of consistency, you get this nice little kind of bland base of it here out, and then you can do the Las Voces purple later, right? So yeah, long-winded there. I like it. No real surprise there, I guess. What are your thoughts on the mock-up here from the We Are Austin TV boys?
I mean, I think this looks great, and if it looks anything like this, I think I'll be a fan. I'm glad you brought up the No Comply. Is it confirmed that it will have some inspiration from that design, or is that just kind of speculation?
That's what was reported by Verde All Day.
Okay.
So I don't know if that's them saying that's what this reminds me of, or their source was like, this is what it's inspired by. I don't know. Because that was part of their description.
Okay, because the No Comply one was awesome in my opinion. Like you said, one of my favorites as well. And I didn't pull the trigger on getting one, and now they're just like impossible to find.
Yeah.
Really hard to find. So if this is what this is going to look like or anything close, I do like the collar. I wouldn't want to play with a collar on, but when I'm sitting in the stands, watching the game, the collar will be a nice little touch. So I'm excited for it. I'm happy we're getting another one, and I do hope it breaks from the mold of some of the stuff we've had in the past.
Yeah. Well, there you get your take from the fashionista here, and here we move on to another exciting thing, I think, to look forward to, at least if you're, have an eye towards the memorabilia side of things as we do, because that first match back from the World Cup break, July 22nd at Q2 Stadium. Seattle Sounders in town. Hopefully, new coach, new sporting director, maybe some new players in town. But fans attending that match will have a chance to receive a Brad Stuver bobblehead, right? And we say chance because it has not been confirmed. and I've been trying to figure out what the number is. I think the right thing to do for our first bobblehead night is everybody gets one.
Yeah.
Because if not, dude, I mean, I would think there's going to be a crush of fans at the gates whenever they open them trying to get this, if this is limited at all. So as soon as we know that number, of course, we will talk about it here on the pod. But Brad Stuver confirmed as the first club bobblehead night here on July 22nd. And that's a Wednesday match too, dude. So like, you think about people having to try to come from work to potentially get through the gates early, and it's going to be hot. So like, I just think guaranteeing everybody who goes through that gate getting one would be the ideal thing to do. But that's not usually how these things go.
Yeah. Also, with the state of the club right now and getting people back to the stadium to play Seattle, you might want to make sure that everyone gets a bobblehead.
Yeah. Yeah. So look, if just our 2 cents there, and maybe, not entirely outside of just the fact that we usually end up walking in, sitting down right around kickoffs. Look, save some for us. But that's not the only kind of themed night, or I think they also called them, you can see here on the screen, the theme and title nights here in the second half of the season. By far the most exciting one to me is the Brad Stuver bobblehead night. So like, it's kind of downhill from there in my eyes, but that second theme night, the 16th of August against FC Dallas, that is mystery night, and the team describes it as not everything will be revealed just yet. Score a 21 plus koozie giveaway at select concession stands, rooftop pyro, and a match day surprise you won't want to miss. And I know I'm not the first one to make the joke that the surprise might be a win, but mystery night certainly raised my eyebrows. You also have a pride night in there against Philly later in August, luchador night against the Quakes on September 5th. So Verdissimo, come on down, brother. I want to see who's he taking on.
Yeah,
are we going to have look, at that point of the season, if we continue on this trajectory, can we maybe just have like luchador matches pop up around the side of the pitch just throughout the match to maybe keep our attention here, keep everybody engaged? I don't know. I'm interested to see what luchador night is. Yeah. Then you have a Dell Technologies and Intel night, St. David's Healthcare night. Okay. Hispanic Heritage Night. Now we're talking San Diego FC. Live Music Capital of the World night when Nashville comes back to town. And then I believe the final home game of the regular season is against the Timbers, November 7th. That is Noche Verde. And 2 teams, notably Verde. So maybe even more green than normal on that last title or theme and title night here. But this crossed my mind. And I'm sure I'm not the only one that thought about this, but it's kind of like, okay, we are now at the point where we're starting to dip into the things you see come out of what we perceive to be as lesser organizations in terms of the fan engagement side. Houston, right? Yep. Always empty. Dallas, rarely full, right? And these are the things that those teams do, man. So like, one thing is for sure. We've been in there all but 5 games? All time at Q2, even as the enthusiasm rightfully wanes a little bit as this team struggles to put together any sort of consistent winning, that stadium is always 80, 90% full, even on the worst of runs of form for this team. So we're not quite there yet, but this is another step in that direction in my mind.
Yeah, this is a mixed bag here for me. Obviously, some of these things just seem really stupid, like Dell Technologies and Intel Title Night. I don't get that, but whatever. I'm not gonna go full conspiracy here and be like, this is because we're not playing great, and you're seeing some dip in tickets and everything like that. More so, I would believe that like getting people back engaged after a large break in the season. You know what I mean? Like, this is just different. So
every game, though, I think, like, when you mentioned those nights where it's like, what are we getting from Dell night, Intel night?
They're getting money, the club.
For sure.
So,
I felt that you actually, if you're one of the first 10,000 through the gates, you get a handheld electronic fan courtesy of Dell and Intel. So there you go. You stay cool during that game. St. David's Healthcare title night has nothing attached. So, nothing from St. David's. I would take some free healthcare maybe. I don't know.
We go. Yeah.
Everybody could use some of that. But we can go ahead, unless you have anything else to add, we can go ahead and move on.
No, I'm good.
All right, let's talk real quick, before we get to Coach and Adrian. International results here, right? We know all friendlies going on over the last 10 days or so in the lead up to the World Cup. First of all, we forgot to mention on last week's episode, because this call-up was announced right before the St. Louis match. I was on the road, all of that. Slipped the rundown from the last episode that Danny did get a call up for the Venezuelan friendlies here. So he was subbed on against Turkey in the 61st minute a few days back, ended up 15 of 17 passes, right? So 88% completion percentage there. One successful dribble, 2 passes into the final third, 2 recoveries. One is only ground duel in those 28 minutes. Certainly making an impact in terms of the box score. They also play Iraq on Tuesday at 8 p.m. So hopefully seeing more of Danny in that match. But congrats on the call-up. And again, staying in the mix. I think the Vino Tinto have a new coach, which is even more important to see Danny getting this attention from his national team here in the international window.
Yeah, congrats to Pep, man. Shout out. That's awesome.
Another call-up we had, John Bell gets called up on Saturday. So yesterday, called up to the Jamaican national team. I want to say for the second time ever, I think, maybe third. But they had a friendly, which I saw described in multiple places as a ghost game, This was against South Africa on Saturday. No stats I could find. I don't think there was a broadcast either. And it did not seem like John Bell got subbed on in this game because Austin FC has been posting when our guys get in and get some action on the international stage. Either way, congrats to John on the call up there. You love to see that on a player who, right, is still young enough to be on the ascent. No matter where you are in the hierarchy of the MLS or even the depth chart with Austin FC. Big accomplishment there. So congrats to John.
Yeah, huge congrats to John putting his stamp on the team.
Ooh, look at you there.
Come on.
Nicely done. That one's for the YouTube viewers there. Rosales, right? We talked about Joe getting that call up to Honduras. They were taking on Argentina. This match was out at Cowell Field yesterday on Saturday. Joe got the start. 78 minutes, 2-0 loss, but he had the highest FOTMOB rating on the Honduran team, and it's not close. Did see some other people on various social media saying that Rosales was playing quite well. 28 of 32 accurate passes, another 88% rate there. Game high, 11 defensive contributions, and Joseph won 12 of his 15 ground duels. So at least holding his own there, and I think maybe impressing a little bit in front of that giant crowd out there in College Station. And Lionel Messi walking around A&M. What a world.
Yeah, absolutely insane. Shout out Joe for sure, man. Guys, he's just so good.
I know.
He's so good.
I don't know what you have to say about our next topic here. That's Mirtu Azuni, who did DNP in that first Albanian match during this window. That was a friendly against Israel. Sat out due to a flu-like illness. They then took on Luxembourg yesterday on Saturday. Azuni got the start. Played 78 minutes, but a 1-0 loss to Luxembourg. There were no stats available for that one, but yeah, I heard the noise you made, saw the face you made. I would think that is probably the reaction of the Albanian side of things there. Right, they were maybe not on the cusp, but in the UEFA playoffs to make this tournament. And I don't think Luxembourg does not strike me as a team that was in that similar position. So 1-0 loss there. Certainly been better windows for our Albanian Eagle.
Yeah, I'm just looking it up. I don't, FIFA ranking has them at 98, Albania at 64. So maybe it's not. It just seems because, like you said, they were on the cusp. Like they were in the conversation to make it. And I didn't even know Luxembourg, had a team.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Well, let's talk about the two guys who had the chance to make the World Cup rosters, and We were talking about Jaden Nelson, the injury to one of the Canadian players late last week that put Jaden back on the radar, and we were reading tweets from the journalist Ben Steiner and trying to read into his posts about what Jesse Marsh said and a presser and all this. Things have happened since then, So Jaden, they took on Uzbekistan, and then I'm trying to remember who else they played. Maybe Ireland. We have the technology to pull that up here and check in on the Canadian national team. I was right. It was Ireland in that second match, but Uzbekistan first. Jaden Nelson comes on at halftime, and then he scores in second half stoppage. Now, it was a 1-0 game that doubled the lead in stoppage time. But certainly did not hurt Jaden's chances to get a half of run out there and get on the scoreboard. Then let me back up here. Sorry. Jesse Marsh was then in a press conference and said that they were going to wait until after their second friendly against Ireland to name that replacement. But he did talk directly about Jaden in that presser midweek and said that Jaden played very well against Uzbekistan and has certainly made a good case for himself. But we need to use all the time we have to evaluate all of our different situations to put the best squad together. So then they take on Ireland. Jaden subs on much later in this match, 87th minute. But in those 3 minutes plus stoppage, 2 of 2 accurate passes, created a chance and had a defensive contribution and won his only aerial duel. And then Canada plays, I think, what would be called another ghost game here against Vermont Green, right? I want to say Vermont Green's like a USL League 2 side here. And what I saw in the report was they mostly played like third string guys on the Canada depth chart here to get some run out for guys who are coming back from injury or guys who are on the fringe. I didn't see anything about Jaden playing in those. I don't think he did. But Moise Bombito, right? We remember him, Colorado Rapids, big sail over to France, and center back for the Canadian national team. He's been recovering from a leg injury, and he's been ruled out of the tournament. He played in that match against Vermont, and the national team doctors determined just he is not fit to play in this summer's tournament. So Ben Steiner comes back to the timeline, and says, in response to Bombito being replaced on the roster, Steiner says, massive news. Luke I can't do that. Luke
Fougier.
Okay, Fougier. There you go. I assume this is a center back who Steiner said is practically confirmed to start the first World Cup game on Friday. A big blow to lose Bombito, but this likely paves the way for both Ralph Priso and Jaden Nelson to be on the Canadian men's national team World Cup roster. So with a second injury replacement needed here now before the Friday kickoff for the Canadian team, signs are now pointing much more strongly in favor of Jaden being included on this roster. And look, man, for our guy, I don't care how many guys had to be injured. Those are unfortunate circumstances, but to get Jaden that opportunity, from an Austin FC perspective, from a Jaden Nelson perspective, I really hope this comes to pass so we can cheer on our guy in the tournament.
Yeah, absolutely. And it just seems like it would make the frustration somewhat more worthwhile with the Jaden situation leading up to this. And, I'll hint and preview a little bit at, the conversation that we have with Coach and Adrian there, where I was asking questions about, like, how important is it to be, playing well for your club team? And like, how much consideration is that? And, Coach really just laid it out there. It was like, you got to be playing well for your team. So it seems even more confusing to me that he was being potentially so cautious, or that injury was just much worse than we actually thought. Like he was really hurt and like he wasn't able to give it a go. So I'm very happy that Jaden, seems to be on the short path here to make this team and be able to play in the cup. And I think that'd be great experience for him. And we're talking about the Canadian team, and those are some big losses that they've suffered right now. So like big shoes to fill if Jaden does get called up, and hopefully he can find a way to get some playing time out there. Yeah. And I mean, dude, when he's played, Austin and the Canadian national team, impactful
guys scoring. Guys making an impact for sure. Another guy, Facu Torres, who was on the bubble and then did not make the Uruguayan roster. now apparently has a chance, because there was a calf injury to a Uruguayan player. I don't remember who it was, so I apologize to our international soccer heads who are just screaming it to themselves right now. No concrete news on this just yet, but I know certain pundits, I don't know if you would call Fabian Renkel a pundit, but Twitter presence there just says, well, this, in response to that injury news, was like, well, Facu Torres is the call up, right? And so I just have our eyes on a potential late Facu Torres call up to the Uruguayan national team, although that does seem like less of a possibility than Jaden right now. So just keeping our eyes on that. Would love to have our two boys end up at the Cup again, no matter how they got there. It would be good experience for them for sure.
Yeah, it would be awesome. So I'm definitely rooting for Facu as well here.
Well, let's go ahead and get to our talk here with Coach Nick Cowell and Adrian Healey. Talk for about an hour, I think, about all those things we mentioned at the top. So let's go ahead and get with our friends there. All right, everybody. We teased it last week, and now they are here, the hosts of the Beyond the Touchline podcast. It is Coach Nick Cowell and Adrian Healey. Fellas, been a long time coming for you guys to make your first appearance here in the North End, at least on the show. We've seen at least Adrian in the North End physically a couple times over the years. But welcome into the show, fellas. Coach, we'll start with you. How's everything going?
Everything is going great. Thank you. Appreciate the invitation, and we're looking forward to it.
Absolutely. And Adrian, the ex-voice of Austin FC, and I think to the OG fans, probably always the voice of Austin FC. How's your summer been?
First of all, I can confirm that Coach Nick has been in the North End on more than one occasion, and he has thrown beer or had beer thrown on him, and has some stains to prove it. So yes, our North End visits have been few, maybe, but memorable. Summer's going well, thank you, and thanks for the invitation. Great to finally come on with you, you fellas.
Absolutely. I think that the last time we saw each other was one of my rare forays to the Mueller Farmers Market.
Yes.
Saw you walking down there. So preseason, obviously we had some higher spirits, or at least some higher hopes at that point of the year. I
believe you had some artisanal cheese in your.
I did. That's a great memory. So, but the first thing I think we wanted to talk about is the Beyond the Touchline podcast, which is, relatively recent project that you two have embarked on together. And I can tell you, as an avid listener, it's been a great way for me, again, as a relative soccer novice, to prepare myself for the upcoming World Cup in a much more detailed way than normal. And, as we sit here recording earlier in the week than this episode will be posted on our feed, you guys are 8 episodes in now. I assume you may have more churned out by the time this is released, but what should listeners, and we can start with Adrian here, what should listeners expect when they tune into the Beyond the Touchline podcast?
Well, Nick and I have been friends for many years, I'm happy to say, ever really since I arrived in Austin. And we came to the decision a little while ago that we weren't going to be able to make our living out on the Austin Senior Golf Tour, or not enough of a living. So we needed to do something else. No, we've talked about it for a while, haven't we, Nick? But it took Nick finally hanging up his coaching spurs to kind of provide the little impetus, and the World Cup sort of provided the perfect sort of launch pad. We just decided to make that, the start of things, and I don't think we know where it's going to go after that, do we, Nick? But it's been a great time doing it so far. Just kind of as an intro, looking at different parts of the world and having different guests on, doing a preview of the World Cup. Yeah,
it's really just grown organically. We sat around, I think, maybe over a Boxing Day party or something, and our wife said it would get us out of the house a little bit more if we were to actually do something. And we didn't really know where it was going to go, but Adrian suggested, the World Cup would be a great in to start the podcast. And we have such a wide selection of guests that we've had on. And obviously Adrian's been a commentator and broadcaster for many a year. So we've tacked into his contacts, and obviously I've been a coach over here for almost 40 years. So, I've tapped into some of those. So it's been a good combination, I think, of both of our lives. And I think I've learned a lot myself, which is really important. And I think that hopefully, our listeners are also learning a little bit about all the different teams and the behind the scenes types of things that goes on in a huge tournament like the World Cup.
Yeah, like I said, we've been loving it, and whether it's ex-players, coaches, right? Some guys who have worked very high levels on like performance staffs and such. So David Platt, like again, as the soccer novice, I didn't have any confusion there with famous goal scorer, and then David, who was on with you guys. But so it sounds like, I guess my next question was, is Beyond the Touchline going to continue after the tournament? And I'm glad that it sounds like it's gonna. Where do you have any ideas of where you're gonna dovetail to after that, or I guess, are there going to be fewer episodes? Because again, you guys have been churning these out pretty darn quickly.
Yeah, I don't know how to answer that, Coach Nick. The desire is there to do it. We kind of we said, let's do it as far as the World Cup. I guess during the World Cup, there'll be some sort of break, or maybe we'll be able to do them during the World Cup too. But then I think it'll become apparent to us what the right direction is to head after that. But we're very keen on kind of, the coach and the commentator angle, I think, is one that, is kind of has rich potential. We'll see where we go with it after that. I'm going to be spending some time back in Spain early in the next season, so I'll be doing it from there.
Okay.
Which still won't get me out of the house. Nick talking about our wives wanting to get us out of the house. Little do they know, it actually keeps us in the house more.
We'll have to set up some live shows or something for you guys.
Yes.
Keep the wives happy in that respect.
But yeah.
So again, as when we bring guests on, usually it's the first 10 minutes of just me yapping at our friends here. So I know, right, you and I crossed paths with Coach at St. Edward's when he was there, but you were only there for a year. So I know you had some questions, I think, more about the background, where also, like, you and I were sitting here getting ready for Coach and Adrian to come on, and probably not everybody is as familiar with these guys as us. So maybe a little bit more background too. What do you got here?
Well, first I want to say it's good to see you gentlemen without 4 of Aggie's hot toddies in my stomach before I walk up to you. It's also good to have some people with, the same amount of soccer knowledge as you and I, Zach, on.
Yeah.
All jokes aside, obviously starting with Coach here, a lot of our listeners were first introduced to you after you sent that really thoughtful piece about Nico and the decision for Austin to rest some players and how that could impact the team. So if you wanted to expand and elaborate on your history with the game, from playing to coaching, how's that gone? How's that been? And I know on episode 3, you mentioned that you were teammates with Tom Sermani. Did I get that name right?
Yeah.
Okay. I think we're always questionable on our pronunciation.
Very questionable.
Even if it's just Scottish guys.
Yeah, it could be John Smith. If you played soccer, I'll be like, is that right there? So just giving the floor to you to talk a little bit about your life experiences with soccer.
Sure. Well, Adrian and I are both from what's called the West Country in England, which is kind of the far southwest tip of England, and that's where I grew up and played soccer for my local professional club there as a youth player. And then, the way it's set up there, it's like Austin FC 2, that would have a lot of the youth team players and the first team players that are maybe coming back from injury, maybe need some game time. So there'd be this mix of players. So we'd get to play with a lot of the professionals on a weekly basis. Then I decided to go off to university, and as part of my degree, I actually had to go to France and Spain for a year. And I ended up playing for a French 4th division team while I was over there. And that was a fantastic experience. Obviously, not just the soccer, but the language, the culture. I was in the south of France. There's a lot of North African influence down there. Came back to England, graduated, didn't know what the hell I was going to do, played soccer semi-professionally for a year, got a phone call, and somebody said, would you like to come over and play in New York City? So I'm like, yeah, I'll do that for a year. And that was 40 years ago. So how it went from that to actually starting a coaching career, that's another story.
Okay. Where was the first stop coaching for you?
At Cleveland State with Brad Stuver.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Smokes.
Nice.
I lived in the tower where he first met his wife. If that's
wow.
Yeah.
Okay, talk about small world, man.
Yeah, I know.
Well, so, and I guess me jumping in just a little bit here, because I'm also interested, like, what was then the path to get to St. Edward's, which, as I mentioned, and I love to brag on you because you're a fellow Hilltopper, right? Like, Heartland Conference Hall of Famer, 11 straight titles, coach. So, like, how did you go from, right, New York, then Cleveland State, starting out coaching? How'd you get to St. Edward's with us here in Austin?
Sure. I mean, I'm one of the few coaches. Most coaches get pigeonholed into a division or a gender. I've coached Division I men, Division I women, Division II women, Division III women. I went from Cleveland State to the College of Worcester, which has actually a storied basketball Division III program. Came down to Trinity University in San Antonio, which was my first introduction to the Spurs. Go Spurs, go.
Yeah, not thumbs down for Spurs, thumbs down for Trinity, because I was a Southwestern guy for a while.
And then from Trinity, I went to Baylor. From Baylor, I went to Tennessee, University of the South. And then from there, we were living in Tennessee. My wife's from San Antonio. She wanted to be closer to her parents in San Antonio. And so she applied me for the St. Ed's job. I get a call and said, I hear you're interested. I'm like, sure. Who is it?
Had to get you out of the house.
Yeah.
That's great.
Man. That's great.
Yeah, I'll shoot it over to Adrian. I think maybe some of our listeners aren't all the way familiar with you. Your appearances on Moon Tower, obviously doing the play-by-play for Austin, but just wanted to get some of your experience and story and how you got into commentating and, how life's been after that.
Well, when I was young, I wanted to be Nick Cowell. I wanted to be a player. That's how we all started out. But I had a decent left foot, but unfortunately, slow as molasses was the term used. So I knew pretty early on wasn't gonna cut it as a player. And honestly, commentating was something I wanted to do from a really, really early age. And I actually got on the air doing it for my local pro team, Swindon Town, who were still my team to this day. They're in the fourth tier of English football, but they used to have what's called hospital radio over there. So it's a volunteer small radio setup, broadcasting just to hospitals. It's exactly what it sounds like, and every sort of town in the UK has one, or did back then. We're talking late 70s, early 80s here. And so I actually got on the air as a 13, 14-year-old doing games for Swindon Town to a very limited and captive audience. But they liked me because my high-pitched voice as a 14-year-old carried really well over all the dilapidated equipment. So they had me back a few times. So kind of the seed was sown then. And from that point on, I always wanted to do it. But honestly, there weren't really any opportunities for me to do it. And I'll jump ahead because we have limited time here. Jump ahead to my life in the US, where I was then a DJ on the radio. So I was in broadcasting, but it wasn't soccer. It was in music. And I just, that's when MLS started up in 1996. And I was in Boston, and one of the 10 teams were there. And I was like, this is my chance to get back into soccer. So I just kind of started knocking on the door of the New England Revolution saying, hey, I can do this if you ever, I wasn't even thinking TV at that time. I was thinking radio, and they didn't have an English language radio deal in the first year, and they didn't have one in the second. But on year 3, lo and behold, they got one. And that was I got the call, and I started doing the radio commentary for the Revs. And did that for 3 years and then switched to TV for 3 years. I wasn't really thinking much beyond that. I mean, that was great just to be able to do that. And then I started to get wind of this organization called ESPN just down the road. Again, like happy coincidence. I just happened to be in the right neck of the woods where they were. And I knew obviously ESPN existed, but what I didn't know, there was a branch to ESPN called ESPN International, where they actually did a lot of soccer games to different parts of the world. They had the rights to, Italian Serie A and Brazilian League, and they would send it, all over the place in English. So I started knocking on that door, and took a long time to get an answer, but eventually got in there, just doing sort of one Serie A game a weekend, and then very quickly, as often happens in that, it's very quickly that kind of progressed to a full-time gig, and I was calling, Italian, Spanish, Champions League, you name it, pretty much everything except Premier League. They had the rights to different parts of the world. Sometimes we were doing a Serie A game that was only going to the Caribbean in English, or only going to Pac Rim in Australia. So it was all this soccer that no one in the US ever saw, but it kind of gave me my real grounding in commentating, because I churned out. I mean, we called it the factory, because once I really got in full time, which was probably a year or two later, we would do 4 games in a weekend. 2 on a Saturday, 2 on a Sunday. It was. But that kind of that sort of was my grounding. That was me paying my commentating dues, and I actually got better at doing it. So that kind of started the path with ESPN, and then it became the MLS national commentator, which was a big move. That was in 2010, after doing a couple of World Cups, and then that kind of changed things, because then I was like, instead of sat in a studio doing games off a monitor, I was actually traveling around the country doing all the MLS teams, and I did that, for the best part, most of the 2010s, in fact.
One thing you guys should know about Adrian, he is a natural commentator. I mean, if you hang out with him enough, he will commentate on what you're eating.
Oh, he's dribbled a bit. Look at it. It's come off the fork.
Which club you're about to select on the fairway. Oh, he's chosen the 5-iron. Interesting choice there.
Yeah.
A natural.
Yeah. Great so. Yeah, my wife always...
After a while, it gets on your nerves, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Turn it off, Healey. Stop commentating. Yeah.
I feel like
Put the microphone away. Come on.
Well, and I know, no longer with the club, obviously, and I believe, spent the first year of the MLS Apple TV deal working on that crew. And since then, not in the Austin commentating spotlight, but still very much working in the field. I think I turned on the Chelsea Wrexham, I think it was FA Cup match this year, and I hear the dulcet tones there. So what's going on there? Is that, you said, moving back to Spain for a little while? Is that in conjunction with still commentating some La Liga matches, or what do you still have going on in terms of commentating? You also mentioned music at some point. Like, you can turn on KUTX and hear Adrian sometimes as well, DJing there.
Well, the Austin job came up at a time where we were looking to, kind of have a different adventure, and we weren't necessarily thinking of even staying in the country at the time. But the Austin job came up just through some mutual connections, and I was like, wow, that would be amazing. It only had a 2-year sort of window to it, so we knew we were coming in sort of for the short term. And at that point, no one knew what was going to happen post 2022. Didn't know about the Apple deal at that time. So did the first 2 years with Austin, and then did the first year with Apple of their deal. But to be honest, that felt like a bit of a backward step, and one that put me back on planes, traveling around the country every weekend. I really didn't do it. Part of the attraction, the allure of coming to Austin wasn't just the great club and the great city. It was not having to get on a plane every weekend and go somewhere. So, so that was kind of a backward step. And but throughout all that time, I'd carried on working for ESPN sort of more on a part-time basis. And at that time, they had the Longhorn Network down here, so I could do games from there, from the UT campus, which I carried on doing, just kind of fitted around the Austin schedule. But then then we stepped away. In 2024, we took total break and went traveling for quite a while. But at the end of that year, ended up back in Spain. And ESPN had always said, if you come back to want to do more work, and if you're in Spain, we can put you back on La Liga. So kind of got back into it that way, and then came back to Austin in 2025, and they kind of wrapped it up. And so now I'm really kind of doing not quite a full-time load, but more and more games with ESPN again.
Sure.
And that includes just periods of time we're able to go back to Spain and do it from there, because we really did enjoy our time in Valencia, and we get a chance to go and do another 3 months there at the start of the next season. So it's kind of the best of both worlds. We get to bounce between Austin and Valencia and a bit of time in London, and still call lots of games. So yeah.
Well, look, man, two men of the world here, E, especially compared to us. But let's keep the focus for just a moment on Austin and talk Austin FC.
Yeah.
Before we get into this World Cup talk, because we're an Austin podcast first and foremost, and both of you guys, I think, would call yourselves fans of the club.
Sure.
And Coach, right, we heard some of your thoughts on that live stream 2 weeks ago, and Adrian, I think you've made there you go, Coach got the hat on there for the audio only listeners, but Adrian, you also have kind of made your musings about the club public at certain times, and I think for me, very timely with some of those posts that you've made. But now that the team, right, Austin, has made the big changes at coach and sporting director, and they're looking forward, I want to do the same as well. What would you guys like to see out of these hires, right? Is it MLS experience? Are there other qualities that fans should be looking for in a manager hire or a sporting director hire? We can start with Coach here. Like, do you have any thoughts now looking forward, now that we're in this kind of transition period?
Sure. I mean, the sporting director thing, I'm not really that familiar with that role, but haven't seen all the rules and regulations that apply to, and you know them more than anyone, Zach, with your, your
Certainly
roster. I would assume that it would help to have somebody that's familiar with MLS. Having said that, have an international context seems like that would also be a big bonus. So obviously, Rodolfo had one of those, but not the other. I think there have been plenty of success stories in MLS of sporting directors that, are from within the league. So I definitely think that that's, it's not a negative not to be an international sporting director. In terms of a coach, I just want to see us have some type of identity that we recognize as Austin FC's style of play for the next 5 years. I remember talking to Dave Tenney back in 2020. This is when Austin FC was training down at St. Ed's before their St. David's was available, wasn't built yet. And he said that they wanted the climate of Austin to be a big advantage to the team, whether that was from recruitment, recruiting players that were going to succeed in that type of environment, the training, the recovery and all of that stuff, make that kind of one of the places that other teams didn't want to come. I haven't seen that in terms of our style of play at all. Like, we tend to kind of slow everything down. And I think if you had somebody, I'm exaggerating here, but somebody like a Jurgen Klopp, for example, who came in, said, I don't care if it's hot, we're going to play 100 miles an hour, and you guys are going to have to keep up with us. I would like to see that. Now, that's maybe a little bit too simplistic, but that's what I would like to see from the next coach that comes in, somebody that has an identifiable style, and that there's repeatable behaviors that we see, not like just the repeatable behaviors that we see right now is just a shitty body language. It's like, what's going on out there?
Yeah, no. And obviously you've heard us ranting and raving about, maybe a little less put together in our reactions to that. But one thing we were talking about in, the handful of bright moments that you may have seen along the way to start this season is like sometimes there's a pattern of play put together that just looks good and it surprises us. And that's a problem, kind of speaking to what you're saying, is it's that there's just no discernible style, that you could describe to an outsider of, oh, this is how Austin FC, this is what you should expect to see when you tune into an Austin match. Right now, somebody asked me that, I'd say a loss and not much else. So, Adrian, I guess kind of similar question to you. And you obviously spent 2 years, not in the club, but working with the club, right? And having relationships with people in those front offices and in that locker room. Is there anything that stands out to you that's on your mind about, well, this would be a nice change or something fresh here as they kind of hit the reset button on this franchise?
Yeah, well, I'll build on what Nick said. And to me, the end result is the style of football. Are we going to get a coach and a sporting director and a squad who can play a style of football that reflects what this city is? This is a very special city, Austin. It's a dynamic, creative, cultural city. I would love to see a team out there that kind of reflected this city, that played football in a progressive, attacking, dynamic, fluid way with a sense of identity and a culture behind it. And I think that's not asking too much. I really don't. But for that end product to happen, we got a sneaking, tantalizing glimpse of what that could be in 2022, didn't we? Which was a season like no other in the short history of this club, and there were, we could get into the reasons for that, but that is kind of a template for what this club could be, and they've gone away from that ever since. So that to me is the desirable end result, almost more than winning. I mean, winning is important, but I think the style of play that reflects this, the winning will come from that.
Sure.
So I think in terms of this next hire for Austin, for both the sporting director and the head coach, that it has to start with that end product in mind and establishing that culture that Nick talks a lot about, which I don't think has ever been done at this club, and certainly not to the degree it needs to be. It's just kind of, gone along without any sort of real thought about what is the culture of this place going to be? Are we going to try and reflect this city? That's what I'd love to see. Maybe asking too much, but
yeah, well, I hope not. It seems pretty simple to me.
But I think as part of that, and Nick and I have talked about this, it's those two, the sporting director and the head coach, have to work in dovetail and in tandem and be on the same page and be establishing this culture together and build. We have some great pieces in this squad right now, really good pieces. There are some missing pieces too, but are they going to be on the same page? Because I still don't think that's ever happened in the history of this club, where the sporting director and the head coach have been locked together. I don't think it's happened. Not once. So
yeah, I think when Adrian and I stand back beyond the touchline,
way beyond.
Look at that.
Well done, sir.
Yeah, I would hate to think that they take the culture of the fans for granted, but It seems like when the fans get agitated, that's the only time when they suddenly go, hey, it's season ticket renewals are coming up. Like, what's going on here? And then they're motivated to do something. It almost seems, obviously the finances of a club are super important and it wouldn't exist without it. But running a football club you should have your finger on the pulse of the society that's making it all possible. And I think that right now is a critical moment in the future of the club. Like these interviews that they're supposed to be having are super important, and we're all, we want to get behind something, right? It's not like, we want it to succeed. So
yeah, I think that's a good point. Well, and Adrian also brought up he said we have a couple good pieces, and I think you were wondering about some of those pieces. And also in relation to the World Cup.
It just blows my mind how deep the weather-based stuff went with this team. Where it's like you brought up the thing about like being able to play in the heat and everything. It's like we heard that several times, and it just kept coming up. And I was just like, are we like making decisions based on the fact that people can like coach in the heat? Like you can do these things? Like that just blows my mind.
Yeah.
But to come back to Zach's little lead in there, obviously Facu and Jaden both hoping to be with their respective countries for this upcoming World Cup here. And with both of those guys, looking like they're not going to make it, Nelson potentially an injury call-up if it gets to that point. Coach, do you think that there's something that the club could have done more to kind of push those guys more into a spotlight or to help their cause to make one of those rosters?
Well, I know it seemed like at least one of them was more worried about making the World Cup squad than playing for his current team.
Mm-hmm.
And so your World Cup squad should be the reward for what you do with your club team. And so you kind of putting the horse before the cart before the horse. And,
Sure.
I don't think either of them can look back at the season so far and say, you know what, there's no way that you can't not select me. Like I'm playing that well, because both of them have had, average seasons at best. And so it wasn't a surprise to me that Facu wasn't selected. I mean, that's a super competitive group that they have down there, and you have to buy into, what Bielsa's doing. And, if you had a coach like Bielsa at Austin, he none of them would have lasted more than 10 minutes. I mean, there's, so that's not a surprise. And the Canadian thing, I don't really know their team that well, but he might sneak in because of the injury, but we'll see.
So like that also is a bit odd to me, I guess, right? Because you're getting so many different players from so many different leagues, the teams, the state of the club, all plays, an important factor in like how an individual is performing. So do you think like it would be more important for those guys to be showing up with their international club, playing really well in whatever training they have there or friendlies, or how much of that decision-making process is based on like your current form with the current team you're on? Like we understood the struggles that Austin had early, particularly with the injuries. And I think that has impacted not only Facu's ability to really, shine and excel, but Jaden probably as well. So like, when we were talking about it on the last episode, I was just kind of confused as to how much weight your performance at your current club would take into that decision-making process.
Each international coach is probably different, but what else do they have to go on? And, when they select players, like if you're out of form, it depends on the trust that you've built up with that coach, that maybe every time you've showed up for your international team, you've done a great job, and maybe they can forgive, 4 or 5 games of not playing well for your club, and they'll select you still. That happens. I know that's happened a little bit within the England squad, is that, the coach trusts in a few players, and, he just wants them to be healthy. And if they're healthy, then they're going to be on the team. So, but I think the level that we're talking at, like your club form is your ticket to get onto the international team. That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, Thomas Tuchel didn't take, Cole Palmer and
that was a big surprise.
Gibbs White and Phil Foden, and Foden and Palmer certainly were based on their form this season, because they've been almost no-brainers in previous seasons. However, Mauricio Pochettino did pick Gio Reyna, who doesn't have much in terms of current form, but he trusts it, and Gio has shown up whenever the US has played. So, as Nick was saying, it's different for different international managers, but clearly both Jaden Nelson and Facu Torres have not they were both on the bubble, weren't they? Both very much bubble players, so they had to do something in these last few months to pierce that bubble and break through into the 26, and neither of them did.
That's so. Then why wouldn't Jaden want to be playing more then? Right? If that's your ticket to get in, then why wouldn't you want to be out there? So
there's clearly smoke around that being like mostly precautionary, right? Whether it was from Estevez or anything, Well, and I think I'm glad that Adrian brought up Pochettino and Reyna, and some fans thinking Diego Luna should be in that spot. So I kind of want to now just move in. Let's talk a little bit about the U.S. men's team here. Because also going back to that same episode 3 of Beyond the Touchline that E referenced, I heard Coach Sermani say that one of his toughest tasks as a coach was telling players that they were left out of that World Cup roster. So, and I want to hear both of your opinions on this, but I'll start with Coach. Do you think that Coach Pochettino made a mistake by just emailing his players, whether they were on the team or missed the cut, instead of a phone call or even whether it's a FaceTime on your cell phone or in person? Like, was that a misstep by the coach there?
Of course it was. I mean, you can't do it in person with everybody when you have 55 players,
Sure.
To contact. But, not to give them a phone call, I think says a lot about where he's headed after the World Cup is over. And I don't think that if this was a longer project for him where he would need to keep more people, aligned with him, then maybe he would have done that. But I think when it comes down to it, it's his style, I guess. And, I don't think that necessarily would be my style, but
Sure.
I think most international coaches would at least give the players the respect of giving them a call. It's never going to be, even if they throw the phone down and don't talk to you, at least you've done it. And,
Right.
nobody can say that you just sent out an email. So,
Right. Then it's not an issue in the media and with the fans at that point. Right.
And can I just add one thing there?
Yeah, of course.
When you asked us to come onto this podcast, you actually emailed me and you didn't call me. So
That's true. We're going to fix that going forward, Coach, for sure. But Adrian, also on top of, the Pochettino question, this is a national team that, if I'm not mistaken, lost their sporting director like 2 months ago. So is this just a project, maybe not in crisis, but like similar to Austin FC, maybe without a clear direction, headed into the opportunity to host the literal largest World Cup in history? Like, it just seems like I don't personally, and again, I'm not the U.S. national team diehard that some other Austin fans are, but I'm feeling a lack of hope. And that's compared to the general lack of hope when the United States goes into a tournament like this.
Yeah, it's really weird, isn't it? Because it's, I do think as a player pool, they've got as good or as strong a player pool as they've ever had going into any World Cup. But all the off-field stuff behind it has kind of added up to making people feel less confident about this group. And I was on record saying I was astonished they didn't hire Jesse Marsch. I thought they should have hired Jesse Marsch. They should never have gone back to Berhalter. And I think Jesse Marsch would have taken this program in a positive direction. U.S. soccer notoriously sort of opaque behind the scenes, and that's a very kind and polite word to use for them. The sporting director thing made no sense. I mean, why leave at this point? But it almost seems like they just put all their eggs in the Pochettino basket. Can he win them, 4 or 5 games this summer? That's what it's all boiled down to. And they may still have a great run, but it's not. The feeling behind it is not where you would have expected it to be, 4 years ago, heading into a home World Cup cycle. It seems like they've made many missteps, but still they have the talent to put it all right. And let's face it, if they win their group and they go make a run to the quarterfinals, all the other stuff will be forgotten. I think that's what U.S. soccer is banking on.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Covers up a lot of things. So you mentioned on an earlier episode, Adrian, that you guys are going to be doing some coverage of some matches there in Houston and Dallas. What's that coverage going to look like? And what games are you potentially most excited about down there? Over there, up there, wherever.
At those venues.
So I because as you know, it's a Fox World Cup. They have the rights to everything. Don't get me started on that. But anyway, so ESPN are left as what's lovely, just delightfully referred to as non-rights holders. So obviously, we want to cover the World Cup as much as we can. That doesn't include calling any games, but what it can include is all sorts of ancillary programming. So in my personal case, that will involve probably being outside the stadium in Dallas or Houston or at the Fan Fest or somewhere with a microphone in my hand reporting on something.
Oh boy. Okay.
Because there's going to be 2 daily shows a day that ESPN have, one in the morning, one in the evening, and
nice.
my main sort of duty will be to provide content for that show from over here. So it's mainly Dallas and Houston. And in terms of the games, really looking forward to England's opener against Croatia is in Dallas on the 17th. That will be very special. Actually, the first game I get to cover is Netherlands against Japan, which I think will also be a really good game.
Okay.
So onwards and upwards from there, and I'll be seeing a lot of I-35 and Route 10 sort of zipping around from Austin to Dallas and over to Houston, back to Austin. So it'll be an interesting experience for sure.
Yeah,
that'll be good.
A summer on the interstates there.
Yeah,
there we go.
But some pretty fun stops and fixtures on that schedule here in the group stages. So I one more question before we kind of get into a very North End conclusion to this episode. But on the episode where you guys had Paul Balsam on, right, who was, I believe, Leicester City performance staff when they won the Premier League almost a decade ago now. And you guys talked a lot about sports science during that episode. And more specifically, Paul talked about why this would be the hardest World Cup ever. And, of course, everybody needs to go listen to that episode after this to hear Paul's thoughts on it. But do you guys agree? Like, Coach, do you agree with that assertion? That it's the toughest World Cup ever? And if so, why is that the case, right? Is it the expanded field? Is it the travel? What do you think about the upcoming tournament in that regard?
For sure, it's going to be the most difficult. You just have to look at, number one, the size of the country. Number two, you're not based, you're not going to play all your games at the same place. You're going to be, sent all over the country in between games. You got different, you have some, stadiums down in South Florida and the heat there. And then you have air-conditioned stadiums in Dallas. You may have to go up to Boston. Who knows what the weather's going to be like there. You have altitude. You have environmental issues in Mexico City. So it's just everything is just going to be a logistical nightmare for the teams. I mean, I know a lot of the teams have a central base. I know England is in Kansas City, even though they have no games in Kansas City, but that's a central location. And they want to get back to their home base as soon as possible after each game. And that way they don't have to pack all their stuff up and leave, every couple of days. So for sure, it's going to be difficult. I think the expanded tournament means you have an extra game in there now. So you're playing every 3 to 4 days at high intensity in the heat for the most part. And so I think without a doubt, it's going to be a very, very difficult tournament.
Well, Adrian, I was going to say not just for the teams as well. I think it might be pretty tough on some of the fans given the venues we've heard about and transportation to and from. But what are your thoughts in terms of what we were talking about there with just how grueling this is going to be over the next 6 or 7 weeks?
Yeah, and one point that Nick made that I think is perhaps paramount is the extra game. I mean, a team's going to have to play 8 games to win this World Cup. That extra knockout round may not sound like much, but a lot of those games will go to extra time and penalties, and then it's you've still got another 3 knockout rounds. I mean, it's going to be a real marathon, and the fittest teams are going to have it. There's going to be a big advantage for teams that can come in relatively fresh and take advantage. And we've seen that happen in prior tournaments. I do wonder if it may level the playing field a little bit. That are more, a lesser nation whose players are somewhat, haven't had the 60 game workload that some of the juggernauts have had, can come in and have a few bounces go their way and make a run, kind of like Greece did in Euro 2004. We hadn't seen something like that at a World Cup. This could be the time that it happens, I believe.
I was going to add something there that Paul Balsam actually said that the emotional and psychological toll on the players is something that a lot of people don't realize, because when you're competing for your country, everybody has an opinion on your performance. And so after every game, you're just not going to want to get onto social media because everybody's got an opinion, and that emotional toll, we all know what happened, to one of the Colombian players in 1994 who made a mistake and went home, and then unfortunately his life was taken from him, and you don't want to see something like that. But there's a lot of pressure on these guys, and not a lot of rest time. I think recovery is going to be kind of the X factor for these players. And I think if one team has an extra day of rest compared to another team, which is going to happen in the later rounds, that's maybe going to make a big difference.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, and also, like, we joke about the heat surrounding Austin FC and the history of our club, but like, it's only getting hotter throughout this tournament across the three nations that are hosting here. So, that's certainly going to be a factor. And I know on the episode, I want to say it was episode 7, where you guys had Michael Lahoud on. So it was a friendly voice there coming across the airwaves. I know his long shot pick was Senegal when you guys were talking about AFCON and who could potentially make a big run out of that delegation. So as I mentioned that, let's pull up our little activity here.
Oh, look at this. Look at this. Color coded. I love it.
You are not familiar with the spreadsheets that this man makes, huh?
So
we need some of those, Coach Nick. Can we have some spreadsheets like that?
So this is going to be available to our Patreon members here, a little competition during the cup, and it's going to be a draft-based game, as you can see here if you're watching on the YouTube. 4-player pods here, and each player will draft 8 teams. It'll be a snake-style draft, so not every team in the tournament, right, with this expanded field will be selected. It'll just be 32 of the teams on these rosters. We'll snake-style draft. These teams will accumulate points for our fantasy teams throughout the group stages, and then escalating number of points awarded for each successive knockout win. And I did realize there, thinking about the expanded tournament, I'll have to add an additional knockout round to these sheets before we get started in the Discord. But we have spun for a draft order here today. So Adrian is up first, then E, then Coach Cowell, and then, as it seems to go every time when we draft something here in the North End, I am last, and then we'll snake back around and choose our 8 teams. So, fellas, feel free as we go through here. If you select a team that you have, something that you want to say about that squad, their chances, whether they're a favorite, maybe a dark horse pick to make a run, like Michael said with Senegal. Feel free to talk about that as we go. And unless you have any other questions, we'll go ahead and put Adrian on the clock for his first pick.
Oh, the pressure of the first pick. God. I know everyone in NFL.
Austin FC is no more.
There he goes.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, the full-on bucket
Here's
hat.
our star.
Love it.
There he goes.
Oh, man, ready to go.
Yeah.
Oh, the pressure.
Don't pick England. Don't pick England.
Pressure. Yeah. Well, now I can't, can I? You've already announced your pick. You don't pick till 3. All right, I'll take. I will take France. I still think they've made 2 finals in a row. Why not 3 like Brazil did in sort of 94 to 02? France could make a 3rd final in a row quite easily with their. I think man for man, you look at their squad and you're like, wow. How are they not going to be there or thereabouts?
I think their second 11 would make it out of any group.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably fair. Looking at that depth chart for France, you could be a real dick and take
I know.
England.
I know I could. That was my pick. So he just took my pick. So maybe now we get one of his hosts back. You know what I mean? Do a little trade off here.
Eye for an eye.
I'll take Spain. I won't ruin the fun.
Okay. So he takes Spain, and that will give Coach, I assume the pick is in here.
Czechia.
Argentina. No,
Czechia.
I'll pick England.
So Coach will take England. And then, to me, those are kind of the easy 3 picks at the top in some order. And there's a little bit tougher decisions here at the turn. Brazil, Argentina, taking both and just maybe cornering the market on the South American favorites could be one way to go. But I'm going to mix it up a little bit here. I will take the last run for Leo Messi, and I will take Argentina. And then I'll jump over to Europe. I'll take Portugal. And so I will just go ahead and grab the last gasp of Messi and Ronaldo here on my team. So back to you, Coach.
I could take either of these 2 teams. Now, in 1994, the Netherlands and Brazil played in one of the best games that I've ever seen live in Dallas.
Yeah.
Oh.
Round of 16, 3-2. Brazil were victorious, but I'm going to pick the Netherlands.
Oh, you took my pick, Coach. Damn it.
Well, and some of my favorite fan videos, right, when they go to these, whether it's the Euros or the World Cup, the Netherlands fans are decked out in their orange and taking over city streets.
Yeah, I heard that they're shipping over 2 double-decker buses.
I saw that. It should be a good time. So E, you've got Spain on the team. Where are you going with your second pick?
Well, I'm going to go with the best game that Coach ever saw, Brazil versus Netherlands, and take Brazil.
Okay, take the other side of that game there. So Brazil off the board, and we're back to Adrian, who's got France on the team.
This is all a setup to make me take Germany, isn't it? You made me take Germany. I don't want to take Germany. I really don't. Let's see. How can I avoid taking Germany? Norway, Belgium. Well, no. I guess I will have to take Germany. I guess Germany, one of those teams where they are due a deep run again in a World Cup. It's been a while. I can't quite work them out at the moment under Nagelsmann, but they have the talent. Yeah, okay, Germany it is.
There you go. Well, you get another pick here to start the third round, and I got to tell you, as the number 1 fantasy draft enemy of E, I'm glad you didn't let the Germans drop to him to assemble a super team there. So France and Germany.
Oh, of course. So I totally forgot the snake portion of this draft. I totally forgot I was going to have 2 picks in a row here. So, Morocco. Okay, they could go deep again. Uruguay. You know what? You guys aren't going to like me here, but I'm going to dig deep here and go US.
Oh,
US.
no. I was going to take the homer pick.
I know you were, but I was left with Germany. So that
sure, yeah.
Let me grab my other home pick, which is the US.
There you go. All righty. Spain and Brazil. No US on the board for you. Where are you going?
I'm going to go with Belgium.
All right. Belgium, maybe the last, or probably the last tournament for old Kevin De Bruyne there. I guess assuming he's still on the team. I couldn't tell you if he is or not. I'm going to find out. Okay, I was going to say, I'm going to find out next week. All right, so E takes Belgium. Back to Coach Nick here. He's got England and the Netherlands on the team.
All right. I am going to have to go with... I'm kind of hedging my bets here because England may have to travel to Mexico City to play Mexico in one of the knockout rounds in
round of 16, I think.
Scenarios that I've looked at. So I will have to hedge my bets and say Mexico.
Ooh.
All right.
Good pick.
Mexico off the board there. And look, dude, E, maybe we shouldn't have done this because we got Coach looking up already the bracket scenario.
Yeah.
Who could play who. I'm looking for pretty colors over here on the draft board.
You're looking for Kevin De Bruyne.
Yeah.
Cape Verde, they're pretty.
Yeah, right. You have to reach pretty far down the board to grab them. I'll stick at the top here, and I will take Norway and that giant striker they have up top. And let's see, maybe go back to South America here. Could also grab our first AFCON team with Morocco. I'm gonna support our boy, even though he's not on the roster there, and I'm gonna take Uruguay with my fourth pick. So Norway, Uruguay on the turn there, and we'll go back to Coach for his fourth pick.
I'm gonna go with Colombia.
Nice. All right, Colombia off the board. Gets messed up the order there. So Coach gets some James Rodriguez that some Austin fans were clamoring for in the preseason.
Yeah.
And we go to E for his fourth pick.
I wanted Colombia,
Okay.
but I think I'm going to go with Morocco.
All right. Little Hakimi in your life, I
Little
believe.
Hakimi in my life. Why
Yeah,
not?
never hurt anybody.
Let's make sure he's on the team first.
All right, we're back to Adrian for picks 4 and 5 here. Already got France, Germany, and the United States on the roster.
Right. So I think it's time we had some geographical variety. I've got my North American pick. I've got my European picks. How about a little Asia? I'll go Japan next. I think Japan could be a sneaky dark horse pick in this tournament. They've got better. Look, think of the results they've had in the last year. They've beaten England, beaten Scotland, but that's everyone beats Scotland. But they've beaten Brazil. I think they are a sneaky dark horse pick to go deep into the tournament. So I'm going to pick them to back my words up, and then I'm going to go Senegal. I'm going to take a nod to Mr. Lahoud, and I trust his judgment of African football. I know they're in a really tough group.
Yeah.
But I think if they come out of the group, which they will, I think 3 teams will come out of that group, and Senegal are a battle-hardened AFCON winners. Yeah. Happy with that.
I was eyeing that, hoping they might come back to me for my fifth, and so I could back Mr. Lahoud there. But Adrian grabs Japan and Senegal, sending it back to E into the second half of this draft.
I was also going to shout out Mr. Lahoud.
Yeah, everybody was looking for that.
Everyone was going to take that pick. Give me Croatia.
All right. Croatia off the board to E, and we go to Coach Cowell, who's got England, the Netherlands, Mexico, and Colombia.
I will go with Granit Xhaka and Switzerland.
All right. Switzerland off the board. Still getting, what's his name? Shaqiri? Is he still on their roster? That little square man. I know
I think he's finally retired. Yeah, he's played about 6 World Cups, didn't he?
Yeah, I know he had. I want to say he had like more goals in the one season he played after he left Chicago than he did in his entire Chicago tenure, if I recall correctly. Immediately turned that switch back on once he left the States. So now I'm up here. No Senegal for me. Was also eyeing that Japan pick. See if I can I switch it up here or not? Oh, Croatia's also off the board. E grabbed that. Well, I could take, there's one host remaining, and I've got 2 picks. So I think I'm going to go ahead and grab Canada with my 5th pick there, and then I will go back to CONMEBOL here, and I will take Ecuador with my 6th pick and send it back to Coach for his 6th, coming off the Switzerland selection.
Yeah.
I need to get my glasses on here. I am going to go with Turkey.
All right. Off the board. And E sounds like that was going to be E's pick there.
Getting sandwiched between these two is rough. Just stuck right in the middle here. Yeah, give me a moment here.
right.
Let me think about this. I think I'm going.
Are you saying E that it's a turkey sandwich?
I'm actually really glad I didn't have to say that. Turkey yay now? Is it turkey yay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how you say it now? Okay.
Yeah.
I got a little culture in me. Don't worry about it. You know.
Yeah.
Give me Korea.
All right. South
Solid.
Korea off the
Solid.
board.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Why? Okay, look, I got to ask Adrian, as you go into your 6th and 7th picks, why are you praising my co-host here? What did he just stumble into?
Well, no, he was
maybe some
prepared
knockout
to.
wins?
It's so easy to just take the next team, isn't he? He was prepared to delve a little deeper. South Korea, battle hardened, another Asian team that often make it out of the group stage. They've got a great record of making it out of group stage, so why not again? You know,
True. Yeah.
Stamp of approval, baby. We'll take
There
it.
you go. Right.
Why didn't you ask me? You know, I'm the guy who picked them.
Look, we're not trying to have dead air here. Think of why you selected them. All right. So
they're battle hardened.
Adrian on the clock here. He's got France, Germany, the U.S., Japan, and Senegal going into pick 6 and 7 here.
Well, in our next edition of Beyond the Touchline, we will feature none other than Mr. Derek Ray, who's another esteemed commentator.
Okay.
But his specialty, of course, is the Germanic countries, and I already have Germany, and Switzerland have already gone. Austria is a team I got my eye on. He has his eye on them too, as well. He thinks they could be a sneaky pick to get out of that Argentina, Austria, Algeria group, and they're definitely a team on the rise. So I will take Austria next.
All righty.
And yeah, Canada was a good pick. I would love to have had Canada with that. Obviously, can't take Scotland. I mean, that goes without saying.
Yeah.
Let's see. I may go back to Africa again for another toss up. Ivory Coast or Egypt. Both of them more than capable.
Yeah.
Think I'm going to go Egypt. I'm going to go Salah's Swan Song and have them make a little run.
There you go. Egypt off the board. And E, I think, hanging on every word there, trying to see who Adrian might have picked but left for me. I don't know if that's an E strategy right now, but E, 2 more picks left. Who you going with for team number 7?
Well, I can't take Scotland. That's
nobody can take Scotland.
Shout out my boy Didier Drogba. Give me Cote d'Ivoire.
All right, there you go.
Yeah.
Favorite retired player for you, E? He's up there right now.
I was going to say, somebody tell E that Drogba's not playing.
Yeah. Now it's just anytime we're opening like some trading cards and we get a Drogba, that just you toss that E's way. So, Coach has England, Netherlands, Mexico, Colombia, Switzerland, and Turkey. Pick number 7 for you, Nick.
I am going to have to take the next pick based on Paul Bolson's Sweden.
All right. There you go. The Swedes off the board. And that brings me to my final 2 picks. And look, I will respect the group. Scotland will not be selected here. But I am going to stick relatively close to the top of the board in terms of those teams remaining. I want to grab my first AFCON team here. Don't want to leave without one. So I will take the Ghanaians here, and then I will finish off my draft with Czechia and send it back to Coach for his final pick.
Oh, my choice is Bosnia or Scotland.
Easy pick.
Alistair McAllister will not be happy with me. Edin Dzeko, Bosnia.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
There you go. Bosnia off the board. And that sends us back to E to round out your draft, sir. Where are we going?
Oh, Austria.
You can take Scotland, E. Come on.
Oh, sure. Yeah, sure.
They got Healey in the first game. That's
Yeah, true.
well, no, it's not guaranteed. Far from it, but
It is Scotland after all.
Give me Paraguay.
All right.
my pick. You took
Yeah, you can take Scotland.
Well, you know what? I will. Come on, let's round it out. Someone's got to take Scotland. They have to. So give me Scotland. If I can't have Paraguay, actually, who is left down beneath Tunisia? I can only see as far as them.
Oh yeah, we've got Australia, Iran, Congo, South Africa, Cabo Verde.
Actually, Australia are the US group is intriguing because I think all 4 teams can get out of that group.
Sure.
Including
Going
Australia.
down under here?
I don't know if you remember when we had Tom Sermanni on, he said Australia were delighted to be drawn into the US's group.
Yeah,
it was like the best sort of A pot they could have.
Yeah. I also thought it was interesting him talking about how they were added to the Asian Confederation and how that's helped them kind of up their game overall. I found that pretty interesting too.
I like the way you've spelled Australia, the way they pronounce it.
Yeah, Australia. Yeah.
God, killed here.
Somebody's got to keep it straight, Zach.
Yes,
education.
2 degrees.
Say that's a degree right there on display.
Yeah. Oh, Scotland or Australia? It comes down to this.
Yeah.
I think Scotland have a guaranteed win against Haiti. They don't have much beyond that, but do Australia have a guaranteed win? You know what? Having said no one can take Scotland, give me Scotland.
Right.
I don't have a British team yet because England were spoken for, apparently.
Okay. All right. So Scotland rounds us out here. So I guess this is what we do after the draft typically. Adrian, looking at your team here, France, Germany, the U.S., Japan, Senegal, Austria, Egypt, and Scotland. How you feeling about your draft?
I want to start again. No, it's fine. I think France. I've got a genuine tournament heavyweight favorite in France. The US and Germany could both go deep. I think Japan could go deep. Senegal already established as outsiders. Anything that Austria, Egypt, and Scotland get me is a bonus. So I'm okay. I'm okay with it.
There you go. What about you, Coach? I mean, you started off hot, grabbed England. How about the rest of your team?
I'm not sure England is hot, but
Yeah,
I'm pretty happy. We got a good mixture of some hard-working teams in there and some flair from South America. I'm pretty happy with it.
Yeah, the coach after England took Netherlands, Mexico, Colombia, Switzerland, Turkey, Sweden, and Bosnia. And I know you're feeling good about a couple picks. Anytime Adrian Healey says, "Oh, that was my pick," I know you're feeling good.
I thought Adrian was basing his selections on World War II to begin with.
Look, he did have the opportunity to bring it to 2026 and take Iran with the final pick, but we stayed away from the political context. The current one there.
I got a lot of plates spinning. A lot of plates spinning with this.
Yeah. It's a strong top 3, I think, that you got there.
strong top 4 you've got.
Yeah, Morocco as well.
Yeah. I'd say top 5 even.
Yeah,
Personally.
yeah. Bet all of them.
Gritty career too.
Yeah.
Paraguay at the end there. Come on.
Oh man, and I got to be honest, man. In the 4 spot there, I was feeling like I was just kind of picking up scraps. Of course, no knock to Argentina, Portugal, right? Norway, Uruguay. My last 4: Canada, Ecuador, Ghana, and Czechia. But I don't know, man. I don't know if I feel great about this either. So maybe I'm with Adrian. We just start this over and re-record it all. But fellas, we really appreciate you kind of kicking off our draft tournament here for the World Cup. And I think it'll be exciting for all of our Patreon members to be able to play alongside the teams that we drafted here today. And we appreciate the time in typical North End fashion going over the allotted time that you guys gave us. So thanks again for stopping by. And on your way out, Adrian and Nick, definitely let all of our listeners know once again where they can find Beyond the Touchline and what you guys have going on here leading up to the tournament. Adrian, we can start with you.
Yeah, well, again, thanks so much for the invite. That was a lot of fun coming on. And just so you know, Nick and I are planning to be at, whenever I can, we're both planning to be at some of the watch parties for the World Cup. I know
Nice.
the big gatherings down at the shoreline, the amphitheater in the shoreline for the first 2 days, and then what's the place after that? It's in Cahoots.
Yeah, over on the east side. Yeah.
So we will definitely look to make some watch parties and enjoy some of the football with everyone here in Austin. I think those are going to be tremendous. And I think once the football starts, everyone will be totally into it. It's been kind of a rough build up to the World Cup, hasn't it? But I think once the ball is rolling, then it will all change. So we're gonna carry on doing Beyond the Touchline. In terms of the World Cup previews, we have another 2 lined up, taking us right up to the start of the tournament. We have Derek Ray, I think, coming out tomorrow, and then Nick, why don't you tell us about our final guest that we have? Because he was something special.
Yeah, his name is Basil McDaddy. He's Palestinian living in Barcelona and really is a fantastic speaker about the West Asia group that we call the Middle East group, which is, I guess, a term that he wasn't too keen to use. It's kind of, it's from our colonial days, I guess.
Right.
And so he was really in depth about the West Asia group. And also he has a website. I'd like to plug his website too. It's footballpalestine.com. And he's been doing that, I think, for 17 years and just really putting out stuff about Palestinian football. And what he really does is he really connects with the cultural importance of football around the world. And he was a really interesting guest. I think we all learned a lot from him.
Yeah. And a real expert on, teams we know very little about, like the team that will be here in Austin, Saudi Arabia. He gave us great insight into them, Iran, Iraq, Qatar, that whole group of teams. He was really, really good. So that will be the last episode before the World Cup starts, just a couple of days before.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I have 8 friends coming over from the UK for the 2 weeks of the World Cup. So you'll see us out and about in our Scooby-Doo machine driving around. With, everybody will have these hats on.
They'll all be wearing those bucket hats, won't they?
Yeah.
Oh man,
hopefully we won't get arrested.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing you out there, Coach. And Adrian, good luck with the ESPN coverage. I know it'll be a blast, but also a grind as well. So once again, Adrian Healey, Coach Nick Cowell, fellas, appreciate it, and we'll talk soon.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thanks so much, guys. Appreciate it. That was a lot of fun.
One more time, just want to shout out Coach Nick. Want to shout out Adrian Healey. Very generous with their time. And not just on today's episode, dude. Like every time we see them in person, we're usually asking questions about this or that, and they're always more than happy to chop it up with us. So thanks again to both of those guys, and hopefully we can have them back in the North End down the road.
Yeah, absolutely. Just watching those two, it's like looking into the future, I think, with you and me here. You know what I mean? I just like
crystal ball.
Is this what we're gonna be?
Yeah.
Get out of the house.
Yeah.
No, those guys are great. Big shout out to them, man. That was a blast, and I think they had a really good time doing the draft. I hope so. Yeah. And we'll see. Right. All of our
all of our Patreon members, or if you haven't signed up yet, registration for those drafts is open through Tuesday. So come compete with us in the draft challenge. Winner gets that free Rooted kit. So looking forward to that. Anything else for you, man, before we shut it down here on episode 312?
Let's go FCito. It's my team.
All right. Well, I will say that, and I will also say, go Spurs, go. It might be the last time this year, E, that we can say that. Look, not over till it's over. It might be over, though. We want to thank you all for tuning in and sticking with us here on episode 312 of the North End Podcast. We are back next Sunday, and this is going to be a listener questions episode, E. So just a reminder to everybody, our Patreon is where we get all of our listener questions from. So we will be pinging the Discord for any and all of the listener questions that everybody might have. I know the last time we did a listener questions episode, E, I want to say like January or something like that. It was a blast. So looking forward to that. Just make sure to get your questions in there in the Discord. Enjoy your week, everybody. We will do the same, and we will see you back here next Sunday for the listener questions episode. Until then, he's E, and I'm Zach. Vamos Austin FC, everybody. Goodbye.